Welcome back. It is Silver and Black today here on the Odyssey Network. We are an Odyssey original podcast. Scott Branson, Moe Moten with you as we are here to talk, again, Raiders football. Today, Mo, we get to do something we love to do, which is our Mailbag show. We at least do one a week where we take your questions. We're getting great questions from Raider Nation all over the world. And again, we're international this week, which is cool. And I also got a new mail image if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know if you noticed that, Mo. It's the Mailbag. It's kind of more the messenger bag Mailbag.
Kind of like a post office look.
Yeah, kind of. So, sort of. So we're going to do that. But we love your questions. Mail them to us at mail@silverandblacktoday.com. We'll get to them. We do take requests. Mo does parties for hire. So if you want him to come out to your birthday party or something like that, he'll come out. He'll make avocado smoothies in a white shirt and white pants. He looks great. He looks very Caribbean. It's fantastic, by the way. He's booked through August, but you might be able to
get red velvet cakes for everyone, by the way.
I love red velvet cake. We can agree on that one, brother. I love red velvet cake. Have you ever had red velvet donuts? What's your view on that? Have you had it?
I've never had red velvet donuts.
Ooh,
That's something that you need to try.
You definitely need to try that. Okay, so we're going to get in the mail@silverandblacktoday.com. Make sure you leave your name and where you're from and your address, because we're going to send you a free show sticker, and then we're going to pick one lucky person tonight who's going to get, on this Friday night, going to get a free T-shirt, a free show T-shirt along with the sticker. So we'll do that. We'll pick that at the end, but make sure you do that. Of course, the Raiders later tonight line it up against the Patriots at Allegiant Stadium at the Death Star, their final preseason game of the year. And we will have a live post-game show. Myself, Mo, and Murph will be with you, so make sure you join us later tonight. So you open your day with us, you close your day with us. It'll be fantastic. Okay, first question is from our buddy Chad Mixon down in Kentucky, who had a great one last week. He says, Mo, with the offensive line being an issue, even to the untrained eye like mine... You don't give yourself enough credit, Chad. What are the chances the team would pull off a trade for someone like right tackle Lane Johnson? He's 32, has missed some time in the last few seasons. His contract is expensive. His backups are serviceable for Philly. If you add up all those factors, the trade compensation may not be that steep, somewhere in maybe the range of a 5th-round pick. What do you think? Okay. We haven't talked about Lane Johnson before. I don't know that he's available. There was some chatter about that in Philly. But what do you think of him, Mo, and chances that he could be moved and the Raiders could be a destination?
I understand why Chad would think Lane Johnson could be available. Has missed some games. He's up there in age. But I would say that Andre Dillard is probably more likely to be moved than Lane Johnson. And I don't think you want to move a starting tackle as you're developing your young quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who's going into a pivotal third year, because the Eagles have multiple first-round picks in 2023. So if Jalen Hurts doesn't work out, they'll probably package their picks together to draft a quarterback. Now, if Jalen Hurts works out, then they can trade those picks for other players, or they can do a bunch of things with those picks. But this is the year for Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, and you have to do everything in your power to make sure he succeeds. And trading your starting right tackle just is counterproductive. It's counter to that idea. I don't think Lane Johnson is going to get traded, though I do understand, again, why it could happen. If I would never say never, put the right offer on the table. But I think Andre Dillard is the guy you probably want to look at as the guy that could be on the move, because he hasn't worked out in Philadelphia. He's a former first-round pick, and we all know head coaches love to kick the tires on former first-round picks, especially when they're young.
Yeah.
Jordan Mailata is the start at left tackle, so Andre Dillard is not going to start anytime soon. So if the Raiders are going to trade for Eagles tackle, it's probably going to be Andre Dillard, not Lane Johnson. Not to say the Raiders are going to make a trade, but if it were to come down to a trade, it's probably Dillard over Johnson.
Dillard, yeah, him being available versus Johnson not being available. All right, we're going to move to our second chat. Again, thank you for your question. Our second question comes from Donald Garcia. Donald did not send me where he's from or his address, so I've pinged him back. So send that to us, Donald, so we can get you your stuff out. He says, after this weekend's game, right tackle definitely has to be addressed via trade or free agency. Do you think the O-line will do better with Leatherwood at guard rather than Cotton? or would you think the chances Parham slides over to the right guard, which we know is not happening? Cotton to me has been pretty bad lately. Right side is definitely a big question mark. All right, so we know about Leatherwood kind of being out of the picture right now. We know Parham now is at left guard. And we talked on the show Wednesday, trying to track my days. On Wednesday, we talked about Parham moving to left guard and played pretty well there. Mo, do you think he's going to stay at guard, or do you think Parham could slide over as well?
Yeah, it's very dicey right now. And again, I just want to preface this by saying the Raiders' offensive line as a unit didn't play well. I believe Jermaine Illuminar was the only guy, I believe, who played significant snaps and didn't allow pressure. Now, to get to the question, Leatherwood or Cotton at right guard, right now the Raiders don't seem interested in Leatherwood at right guard. I haven't heard anything about him taking significant snaps on the inside. So that doesn't seem like that's in the plan right now. It at right guard is probably going to either be, now if Parham can flip from left to right, we'll see. There's no evidence that that's going to happen. It looks like they're going to stick with Lester Cotton. What I will say is I wouldn't panic over Lester Cotton yet. I know he didn't look good against the Dolphins. I know he's not an experienced starter, but I know you had your concerns, but he looked pretty decent in the first two games. I think he was better in the first two games in pass protection than run blocking, but I don't see it as a Cotton versus Leatherwood situation at right guard simply because we haven't seen Leatherwood there under the new regime. I think if there's an alternative at right guard, it's probably going to be a Illuminar if he's not the right tackle. So let's say if they do acquire a right tackle eventually, or pick up a right tackle from the free agent scrap heap, I think Illuminar is more likely to move inside than Leatherwood.
There you go. Agree 100%. Donald, thank you for your message, man. We really appreciate it. Now, Mo, we got our first mailbag entry from Las Vegas. So there we go. Luis Cardenas from Las Vegas says, "Hey guys, thanks for your show. I listen to it and from work every day, and I really like how you download it as segments." Upload it as segments. I'm a Derek Carr fan, but I think many are not thinking about what's on the line for him this year. He got his contract, but the Raiders can walk away after this season and not be on the hook. I think he'll do good, but why do you think Ziegler and McDaniels did the contract that way? That's Luis Cardenas in Las Vegas. We talked about this on Wednesday with Danny Heifetz, Mo, and the answer is they're kind of kicking the tires on that car, right?
Yes, this is a great question because it goes along with what we talked about, as you said, with Danny Heifetz on Wednesday. The reason it's constructed that way is because now, as Heifetz put it, it's like giving your landlord a note saying, if this doesn't work out after a year, I'm out.
That's a great one.
And I know like fans don't want to hear that, especially Derek Carr fans don't want to hear that as the reality. And I've said plenty of times, and you've said plenty of times, we think Derek Carr is going to play well in 2022 with Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, assuming he gets healthy, and Hunter Renfrow. There's no reason Derek Carr should not play well this year. But for whatever reason, if he doesn't, that contract is constructed in a way that Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels can come together after the 2022 season and say, okay, do we move on with Derek Carr or do we continue with Derek Carr? It's kind of like having that trial version when you sign up to any program or software online and it gives you 7 days to try it out before you pay for it in full. This is what Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels are doing. They're taking Derek Carr out for a trial, and they'll figure out if they want to pay the rest of the deal or not after the 2022 season.
Yeah, no, Luis, and he says he's a Carr fan, but he just wondered, and it's true. I think a lot of people don't think about it. They just think, oh, we signed the contract, he's good, 3-year contract, so we don't have to worry about Derek Carr stories for 3 years. Not so. Now, again, if he goes out and balls out, which you and I both think, then you don't have to worry about it because they'll probably do that unless something happens. But also, Josh McDaniels is an unknown. We don't know as he's back as coach and Dave Ziegler back in his first role as GM. We just don't know what they're going to do.
Now, Luis, we want to say that you're brave for putting your location out there because all the Derek Carr truthers are going to be at your neck. They may try to come look for you in Vegas. So beware of that you even brought the idea that the Rays may move on from Derek Carr. That's dangerous. So extra bonus points for Luis being brave enough to ask that question and put his location out there.
They might even raid his home, right? I don't know. Who knows? Crazy times we live in. All right. Thank you, Luis. We appreciate that, man. Awesome. We're repping Las Vegas. Okay, next one is from Anthony, and he goes by AJ in Canada. So he lives in America's hat. AJ up there, it's a joke. Hope you get that one. He says, been listening to the podcast lately and truly enjoying it. My question, the top end of tight end contracts is Kelsey at $15 million a year over 4 years. Will Waller be getting similar numbers over the same period? Will he be the highest paid tight end? That's AJ from Canada. And Mo, if you go back to early summer, we had Cynthia Freeland from NFL Network on our show, and she talked about why it was a good deal for Derek Waller and the Raiders not to sign a deal yet because the salary cap was going to go up, right, as it does every year, especially coming back after COVID. And tight ends are commanding more money. So it behooved Darren Waller to wait, and it behooved the Raiders to wait. But to AJ's question, is Derek Waller going to be the highest paid tight end in the game when we're talking at this time next year?
I don't think so, simply because his age, and I don't. Now you got to remember, Darren Waller isn't a young player. Like, he went through his trials and tribulations with Baltimore, so he's kind of coming along later in his career. You can kind of call him a late bloomer. I think the Raiders will give him a sizable pay raise, but I don't think they'll make him the highest paid tight end just because over a long period, just because, again, his age. You don't want to play a player of his age, I believe he's late 20s, on a long deal, on a long contract with a lot of guaranteed money, because Darren Waller, if you look at it, now he blossomed under Gruden. He got hurt last year. So really he has 2 standout years. Now I know those are some really good years, but it really has 2 standout years on his deal. I think the Raiders would want to now if he has another 1,100-yard receiving season in 2022, then I say it's more of a possibility. But we're coming into the season and he's skipping. I know he came back to practice one day, but he's still missing practices. Now I'm not worried that the Raiders will trade him. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say, well, are you worried? No, I'm not worried about Darren Waller. But if his injury bothers him during the season and he's not reliable as far as his availability, because I believe Josh McDaniels mentioned this, sometimes your availability is paramount. It's top more than your production, anything else. If you're not available,
right,
then you have nothing. So I would say I would pump the brakes on him getting a market-setting deal at the tight end position. I don't think he'll pass Travis Kelce, but he'll be in the top 3 for sure once he signs a new deal or extension.
That's what I was going to say, is that I believe if he goes out, has a good year, stays healthy, and stays reliable, that he'll get a nice big deal that sets him up nicely for the rest of his life. But I don't know. It all depends on what the agent and Darren Waller think, too. Do they believe that is their goal? They need to, if he goes out and put up the numbers this year, that he needs to be the highest paid in the league. If that's the case, then where the Raiders are, I think that puts you at odds a little bit down the line. Right. Go ahead.
No, and a quick thing. The other thing is he put up those numbers with the previous regime.
Correct.
Now, we expect him to put up numbers in Josh McDaniels' regime based on what Rob Gronkowski has done with the Patriots under Josh McDaniels. But again, I go back to, if he's not healthy, if he only plays half the games and he's not as good as his 2019-2020 years, then you're not going to want to make him the highest paid tight end out there.
Correct. And then you also have to deal with a bunch of other things that are coming up, right, for the Raiders as well. So it all plays into him. I think they will get a deal done as long as he stays healthy and it goes well. But to your point, Mo, not a record-setting deal, but definitely one of the top in the league. So that'll be interesting. So we appreciate that. AJ in Canada with the Darren Waller question around the contract. Okay, our last question of the day here on Silver and Black Today, our Mailbag edition, comes from Lars in Pomona, California, so in the Los Angeles area. Why is anyone even talking about the Tom Brady story and that windbag Dana White? Everyone's making a big deal. That's pretty funny, windbag. I haven't heard that one in a while. Last weekend, Carr is our quarterback, and he's not going anywhere, and those guys didn't become Raiders. Why does the media always make big stories out of nothing? Thanks for the show, and F Tom Brady, it was a fumble. Lars is good, man. That's a good way to end your email. And we talked about this on Wednesday too, and I said it was going to be the last time we talked to it. But Lars, you asked about it. I think two things. One is, Mo, this was a story before the media made it a story. It was a story amongst us, people in general, on social media. When it was uttered on the UFC broadcast, fans just started talking about it. And then the media caught on. We heard about it and started talking about it, and reporters started tweeting about it, and then they wrote about it, and then they did video about it. So you're talking about two of the greatest players to ever play the game, and this story that came out just kind of willy-nilly on the air because these guys are having a good time. How is it not a story is my question.
Right. I'm going to go back to my journalism schooling here. And my teacher always taught me it's two things that you want to look out for that can make a big story. Something unusual. So, for example, if a dog bites a man, that's not a story. But if a man bites a dog, that's a story. It's unusual, right? The other thing is the celebrity of the player or person involved. As you said, Tom Brady, arguably the best quarterback of all time, has all these Super Bowl rings. Rob Gronkowski, gonna be a Hall of Famer. Jon Gruden, a big personality. And we all know how polarizing Derek Carr is on social media. There are people who support him and say he's top 10 quarterback, and there are people who say, no, he's mediocre, he's mid, not that great of a quarterback. So when you put all of that together, that makes a story. Now, again, fans don't care because they're looking ahead.
Right.
How many games we're going to win in 2022? Who's on the roster now? That's what we care about, and I understand that from a fan perspective. But from a newsworthy perspective, the celebrity and the caliber of the people involved, that's what makes it a story.
Yes. Yes. And the news that broke that year that Tom Brady was looking for a house in Las Vegas. That's how it all started, by the way, because real estate agents can't keep their mouth closed. So somebody leaked that out, and it was reported, and then it was poo-pooed. And it's the Derek Carr fatigue, right? The fatigue of the arguments back and forth. He's great. He sucks. He's great. He sucks. He's staying. He's leaving. So I get it. I think it's like people are tired of it. Even if you thought, oh, that would have been cool, you're like, I just don't want to talk about it. I think people are just fatigued, and I understand it. But you also have to understand that even outside Raider Nation, it's a story. If you're a football fan, it's a story. Imagine Tom Brady wearing the silver and black. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That would have been nuts in Vegas, glitz, glamour, all that jazz. So that's why it is, I think, Lars, that people clammed onto it. And I know some people don't like it, and that's cool. Just carry on, right? Carry on. Don't worry about it then. But you're going to see it for a little while. I think it's almost dead here now. But as we go in almost a week on talking about it. But an interesting question, and I know a lot of Raider fans feel the same way, Mo.
And let's be honest, Scott, and you brought this up on Wednesday's show. But social media and private investigators spent a week trying to find out who was Tom Brady referring to as the MFer.
Oh, yes, on the HBO, the barbershop. Yep.
Right. So a lot of people are like, is it Jimmy Garoppolo? Is it Ryan Tannehill? Is it Derek Carr? So now, no one's confirmed it, but we kind of got our answer if Dana White and Rob Gronkowski were telling the absolute truth that the Raiders almost went through with this. Tom Brady was probably talking about Derek Carr. So that it goes back to that, because that video, that clip from the HBO show, The Barbershop, was posted along with the Dana White, Rob Gronkowski conversation. Like, oh, so this is who Tom Brady was talking about. It was Derek Carr. So that's part of this also. Yeah,
you're finding an answer to a mystery, right? And we talked about it the other day, Mo. I don't think him calling him an MFer was a personal thing. I know that sounds crazy, but it's a competitive thing. Anybody who's at that level of Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, you name it, they are so competitively driven. Everybody is the enemy when it comes to being on the court, being on the field, whatever it may be. So that takes care of that. The other interesting thing we didn't talk about the other day, Mo, but came out in the days since, has been the fact that how much did Mark Davis know, and did that go awry of NFL rules around tampering? And of course, Mark Davis, who doesn't get enough credit for being as smart as he is, says, "Oh yeah, I remember hearing about him going to the Buccaneers, but Dana White tells a good story. I don't know." But that piece of it was interesting as well. But it's over. It's entertaining. It's certainly now part of NFL and Tom Brady lore. and it'll go on forever. And people will say that, oh, remember when your team didn't sign Tom Brady and then he went and won a Super Bowl? Of course, that doesn't mean the Raiders would have won a Super Bowl. But nonetheless, it's fun. And I know Lars doesn't want to talk anybody anymore. So, Lars, we'll end the conversation about Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. But we certainly appreciate that question. If you want to submit a question for our next show, send us a mail at mail@silverandblacktoday.com, and we will get your question on the air. Leave your name, your address, where you're from, so that we can get you out your sticker or T-shirt. Okay, Mo, now comes where we have to decide who gets the coveted T-shirt. We had Chad again with his question about trading for the Eagles' Lane Johnson. We had Donald talking about offensive line as well. We also had Luis, who was asking about the Derek Carr contract. And we had AJ in Canada about the Kelsey contract and the Waller contract. And then Lars there with the Tom Brady story, where he was just basically telling us to stop talking about it. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to vote, even though it'll cost us a little more dough, I'm going to vote for AJ in Canada around the contract with Kelsey. I thought that was a good question because most people are asking the question, when are they going to sign Darren Waller? And AJ saying, hey, okay, sign Darren Waller, but is he going to have the biggest contract of a tight end?
I'll go ahead and I'll agree with you because you know what? That's probably the biggest conversation right now as we go into the season, other than, preparing for the Chargers. What's going to happen with Darren Waller? What's the cost? Remember, he still has 2 years left on this deal.
Yep.
So the Raiders are going to bend. I think if they can do some patchwork where they don't necessarily give him a big deal, they just give him a short, like a bit of a, not short, but a bit of a pay raise. I remember the Falcons did this for Julio Jones, right? I think a year ago or 2 years ago, Julio Jones wanted a new deal. And the Falcons didn't, break the bank and back up the Brinks truck for him because of his age. What they did was they gave him a bit of a raise to satisfy him for that 1 year. And they said, we'll deal with it later. And lo and behold, look what happened. They wound up parting ways with him and trading him off to the Tennessee Titans because his production started to dip. And I think the Raiders are going to take a similar approach where they want to see what Darren Waller does in 2022 because he's coming off of a injury-riddled season. He's not in his early 20s anymore. He could be past his prime in a very short period of time. I think they want to see him produce before they figure out how much he's worth, but they can give him a short pay raise just to satisfy him for 1 year and then see what he does during the season. So that was a good question.
It was a good question. AJ in Canada, we're going to send you your sticker and your shirt. The rest of you guys, thank you so much. We will send you out your free Silver and Black Today sticker. All right, Mo, another mailbag segment show in the bag.
Yeah, I just want to give another shout to Chad, one of our great listeners. I just shout him out. He has a point there. Like I say, I could see Dillard being. I would focus again for him. I would focus on Dillard more than Lane Johnson. Also, Luis out there in Vegas. We're gonna send some security out there for you when we can. People now know where you are and that you hate Derek Carr. I'm just kidding. That you're questioning Derek Carr's longevity with the team. So we're gonna send security out for you, just to make sure that you're safe for the rest of the season.
It's called car insurance. Oh, bad joke. Bad dad joke. Okay, I got you. All right, Mo. We will see you after the game tonight. We're not sleeping, right? We're just going through. We'll have input. We'll know more, I think, after tonight's game about who's going to be there come next week and who's going to be saying goodbye as they make the final and the biggest roster cuts.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just ready for the regular season. I think the NFL should shorten the preseason to 2 games. I know the Raiders have 4 this year because of the Hall of Fame game, but 2 preseason games is probably enough for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. All right, for everyone here at Silver and Black Today and for my partner, Moe Moton, make sure you follow him on Twitter, by the way. You can see him on the bottom of the screen there, MoeMoton. Read his stuff up on Bleacher Report, on sportsnot.com as well. Follow me at LV Gully. The show is at SNB Today. Make sure you subscribe, whether you're watching us on YouTube or you're listening to us any way you get it. We're happy as long as you get it. So thank you so much for that. For Mo, I am Scott Branson. This has been Silver and Black Today. We will talk to you after the game tonight as the Raiders take on the Patriots. Thanks, everybody.